Did his speech send the right message?
Here to debate, conservative radio talk show host Dr. Gina Loudon and Democratic strategist Leader-Chivee. Good morning, ladies. Thanks for being with us.
Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, Gina, we'll start with you. One of the longest speeches in convention history, hitting on a lot of themes here. It seemed the main one, though, was keeping this country safe.
Yeah, I think that's something that resonates with everyone. Everybody wants economic security. They want national security. Those are things that resonate with families right now. And I really thought that he reached a whole new level of sort of self-deprecation and some humility. There's no person that if they watched that speech from start to finish didn't find something in there that was just for them. And I was down on the floor toward the front of the California delegation, and I'm telling you, everyone was standing in their chairs holding up their signs. They were so excited about this speech.
Lauren, there seemed like there was an attempt to reach out to different demographics, different groups. Did you think that was successful?
Well, I think the question is whether those groups think it was successful, and I think there's unfortunately very little chance of that. I mean, it was extraordinary and unprecedented that he reached out or called out the LGBTQ community and, called on Republicans to be tolerant, but he chose a running mate who is infamous in the gay community for the religious freedom bill in his state and is viewed as an absolute enemy of the gay community. And so I think, I realize he is trying to embrace a broader audience, but people will look very specifically at his choices and wonder how serious it is.
So his message was pretty clear, Gina, but there are a lot of people that said they were really hoping for his specifics last night. They wanted to hear how he was actually going to do everything that he's promised. Did he give enough specifics, do you think?
I thought he did. My goodness, it was a long speech with a lot of detail. He also has all of these white papers right there on his website. And so I don't know that, I mean, people say they want to hear that. I hear that all the time, but I hear him give specifics, and then I never seem to hear him get the credit for giving specifics that, again, are all right there on his website, which, by the way, is free to enter, as opposed to Hillary Clinton's website, which you have to donate to enter. I find that right there one of the most interesting contrasts between these two candidates.
Well, that's not actually correct. It's not actually true. And look, the problem with, there's of course lots that sound fantastic. Immigration reform is something that Americans on both sides of the aisle want to see. But even with a Republican majority Congress, for the last term, immigration reform has been impossible to put forward. And so it does become, at some point, an important question to ask how. How do you plan to accomplish these things? And at every turn, this candidate has really not answered those questions. Mm-hmm. You could argue certainly that the convention is not the right place to do that, but it's going to become increasingly difficult for him if he cannot get more specific about how, in fact, he plans to enact the changes he's talking about.
He was very specific.
Right. And Lauren, if you take a look at Hillary Clinton, she did have a chance to show how she would do things. And what would you say worked during her time as Secretary of State?
Well, look, I think we're going to hear a whole other side of this entire story, obviously, next week, and there's going to be plenty of time to talk in depth about the Democratic approach to these problems and what they plan to do for the country. And that's going to be obviously an extremely difficult challenge next week to follow essentially a week of attacks. And I think the Democrats do have a really big challenge on their hands next week, and they're going to try to really lay out a vision for a more inclusive America, to lay out a vision that calls out both the importance of respecting the lives of African Americans who feel that they've been disproportionately persecuted, as well as law enforcement, and it's not one or the other.
Slain police officers to speak.
Stay tuned. I don't think there's any question that the Democrats support law enforcement. I know that that's been the trope this whole week, that somehow Democrats don't support the police. It's simply not true. The president has said over and over again, as has Hillary Clinton, over and over again, that police lives are incredibly important and that they support the police. So I realize the narrative is an easy one. It's not an actually correct one or a fair one. We can disagree on policy, but let's be truthful. Let's be truthful about what actually is truthful.
Next hour to continue. We're going to continue on this debate next hour. We look so forward to that because there's a lot more to be said here. But Gina, Lauren, thanks so much for being with us. We'll see you soon.